How was your work the last time you were in your studio? How did it work the last time you were in acting class? What did it look like the last time you started writing? That is where the measure of an artist comes from. It can be very hard to have that internal thermostat for yourself other than what the world says about you.
Hey, I'm Lara, an artist, educator, and entrepreneur who's danced through life in Australia, London, and California. Now I'm an Aussie in Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Juggling roles as an artist, ex-dancer, current actor, author, professional educator, and qualified life coach, I'm also a wife and mother of two. Join me on this podcast crafted for creative souls at every level, entrepreneurs, artists, dreamers, and hope-filled humans alike. I'm here to guide you towards a life of love, purpose, adventure, and boundless creativity. As a healthy, wealthy, and wise creative soul, I invite you to hit subscribe for weekly inspiration. Anticipate solo episodes, exclusive interviews with creative luminaries, and insightful discussions with my hottie hubby, Andrew, a specialist performance physical therapist, as we delve into the dynamics of relationships and more. Dive into a 360-degree view of making a creative life you'll love. Welcome back to the podcast. I'm Lara, your host, and this episode is called From Limiting Beliefs to Creative Momentum, A Path to Purpose. 20,000 creative people get Brian Patacca's newsletter delivered to their inboxes every week. And when they're not reading along, they're listening to his podcast, Brian Breaks Character. So it is my joy to have him on the show today. Brian is the CEO of Team BKP. And for the past 2 decades, he's been helping creatives get what they want without all the suffering. His sweet spot is helping people who proudly walk the path least taken with down and dirty marketing and branding advice, all while spilling the tea on bringing home the bacon. Brian proves that following your purpose, instead of playing by a tired set of industry rules, read limiting beliefs, you can skip the drama, generate momentum, and build excitement around who you are and what you love to do the most, artist friends. Not only does he promise the how-tos, but he also has zero doubt that creativity is your divine birthright. And I completely agree. So welcome, Brian. I'm so excited. I've got so many questions for you. Let's just dive in as deep as we can with the first question.
Yes, let's do it.
I don't like a warm-up. I just like to go in the deep end. What role do you think purpose plays in an artist's career, and how can they really find their purpose and stay connected to their purpose?
Well, such a good question. There's a couple parts of it, so I want to really take it apart. So first is what importance do I think that purpose has in an artist's career? So I think that it is everything. And what I mean by that is an artist is not this may sound disparaging to artists at first, so stay with me here. An artist is not called to be an artist to understand the business. An artist is called to being an artist to express humanity through whatever form they share it through, I believe, right? And so I think it is a disservice to believe that artists need to be good at the business. I think that it's great when an artist becomes good at the business. I think it's great when they reach out to coaches and people to work with so that they don't have to spend their time getting really good sitting in front of their computer. That's actually not where their gifts have been offered to them, I would say.
Phew, load off.
Yeah, right? Load off, good, great. It should be a load off because I think that the lie we tell ourselves is, oh, I'm not successful because I'm not good at the business. And I want to be like, whoa. We're measuring your success by a crazy roller coaster, upside down, unpredictable business. That is not fair. How was your work the last time you were in your studio? How did it work the last time you were in acting class? What did it look like the last time you started writing? That is where the measure of an artist comes from. And why I say purpose is everything is it can be very hard to have that internal thermostat for yourself other than what the world says about you.
That's so good, Brian.
Right? Well, and what I'm going to imagine is if someone's listening to your podcast, then I'm going to imagine they're not someone who's like, I'm painting in the garage for my mom. I'm going to imagine they've probably decided they want to be on a bigger stage, a bigger screen. They want to be seen by more people. And the reason why I think an artistic ambition often drives to outside of just your either hometown or the people right inside of your own home is because the impact you want to have is colossal. You want to impact lots of people. You want to change the world, which is and that is purpose, right? Yeah. And so, I think the reason why I think this is so important that an actor can hold, and any performer, any artist can hold on to is so that when the business does get weird, and it will, we can kind of treat the business as a I don't want to say like a toy, but that the business is not the profound purpose of why you're here. You are choosing to interact with the business. The creativity you have chose you. So
That's
this way we can
so
have some,
freeing.
I hope
Yeah.
so. That's my hope,
That needs to be
right?
the poster behind you.
I'll get one. Right?
Or a shirt that you create, because
Right.
that was epic. That was
Yeah.
so cool. It gives us the power back, doesn't it? To say
Yeah. Yeah.
that I chose this. I choose to interact with this.
Yeah, and it also gives I think, which I think is one of the most important parts of this, is it gives your purpose its sacred intent, which is you're meant to do this. I actually believe it would be selfish for you not to walk the path of the artist, because that's what's been called to you. It would be selfish for you not to act on your purpose, let's say. So I'm a trained non-denominational reverend, and I was trained in the tradition of A Course in Miracles. And my favorite quote to talk about with creativity, I should say, is it says, "Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled." And I'll just say that again. Be determined each day not to leave your function unfulfilled. And when I'm talking to an artist, an actor, performer, writer, director, whatever, those are usually the kind of people I work with in the entertainment business, right? They'll be reaching to the business to get some kind of validation. I'll go, whoa. When was the last time you wrote? When was the last time you were acting? When was the last time you were directing? Because that is where you are the most brilliant, the most gifted, the most talented. You'll have your best thoughts. You'll be most aligned with what the universe wants from you, right? And so before we run to the business to get validation or answers, I think it's really that we run to our craft first. And I know that's easy to say because, hello, you want to make money and cool. I got it. I promise that comes when you're more aligned, let's just say.
Yeah, I really love what you're saying, because I think so many of us, try and get our validation from the yeses rather than the actual innate creativity that's in us. So here's one that's quite fun. What does it mean to really claim that calling, that artist calling, and how can an artist leave their mark from the context that we've been talking about?
Yeah. Well, first things first, you could call this a prayer, you could call it a mantra, you could call it a meditation that is from A Course in Miracles that I use all the time. It goes, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? I'll just say it again. Where would you have me go? What would you have me do? What would you have me say? And to whom? And we often are like, I should have these appointments on my calendar, and these should be the people that I should be meeting with. When in fact, what's already on your calendar is what's divinely intended for you, what is meant for you. And so if you can imagine, I'm going to this event, I'm going to talk to the right people, I'm going to have this appointment with this person, I'm going to be on this podcast today and talk to Laura. Like it's like that these are the things that were meant for you are there for you as kind of a piece of that. Yeah. And so I'm tracking this back to your question. So ask your question again. I promise there's that landing point.
It's about claiming our calling as artists and leaving our mark.
Yeah. So to me, what can happen is we can get in this weird vacuum of like, what's my calling? What's my calling? What's my purpose? I'm like, you're already on it. You're already doing it. Like it's already happening. Stop trying to find something outside of yourself. It's already happening. And then, I believe that desires are planted in us by the universe, and it's how the universe is self-correcting. So let's pretend that you're an actor, or you're in pursuit of being an actor, and you're going to go get your headshots with this headshot photographer, and you're going to go to this store to buy a shirt that you're going to wear for the headshot photographer. You're going to interact with that salesperson, and you're going to stop and get a Starbucks along the way. You're going to talk to that barista, and like it all connects to you shooting those headshots. That has to do with you being an actor and living in Los Angeles. And so it all connects to connecting to the right people. So there's a little bit I want to take off this. Your purpose only counts when you're at the Olympics. Your purpose only counts when you're in Steven Spielberg's film, or if it's your friend's gallery show, your painting doesn't matter. Like that, we have to let go of this idea of there are people that matter and people that don't, because that's not cool.
It's not cool
at all.
It's torture,
right?
really, to think that way.
Yeah.
Now that would be a limiting belief, wouldn't it?
Totally. Yes.
That a lot of us believe.
Because it could drive your entire career. It doesn't matter unless I'm being paid. It doesn't matter. That isn't to say I don't want you to be paid, but like it can really diminish art.
Yeah.
Right.
To me, that's where the suffering comes from, that mindset, isn't it?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah.
Is there any other limiting beliefs that you see that are destructive to artists? Now, we don't need to name all 50 of them, but the biggest one. Just one.
The biggest one. The biggest one that I find, because we've all heard about the hermit painter who dies one day and then they go in their garage. It's like there's 500 paintings and Sotheby's sells them all for $1 million. We've all heard of that person who never interacts with people, and their paintings never see the light of day until they're dead. Great.
Yeah.
I'm not speaking about that artist for a second. I'm talking about the artists, most people who are listening right now, who know that you do have to put yourself out there in some way in order to make this into, let us say, a career or some kind of longevity, or to feel real, let's say, right?
Yeah.
And so what I often find is when it's time to put yourself out there, this is the biggest limiting belief, is we start to say, I don't want to annoy anyone. And I want to, like, oftentimes it could be an email, or it could be, maybe it's like a flyer you're putting out there, and you're trying to, like, not take up too much space because you don't want to annoy anyone. And what happens is the artist is marketing, I'm putting that in quotes, air quotes, their business, marketing their art for the people who are going to say no. Instead of marketing their art to the people who are going to say yes. I'm going to use my own business as a good metaphor for this, because I think it works, which is, or any online business. Yeah. So when you're an online business, you send a lot of emails. So I'm sure you're all on emails from multiple different vendors or people you've worked with in your life, or, Victoria's Secret, I don't know. So you get emails, right? And at the bottom of that button, at the bottom of that email is an unsubscribe button, right? And I think oftentimes an artist is writing or messaging just to pray that someone doesn't unsubscribe from who they are. When in fact, the stance you want to take is, please unsubscribe if I am not for you, because the people left in my community are the ones who are saying yes, are the ones who are most interested in what I have to say. And also, and this is where I think it aligns with purpose, I'm bringing this back to the beginning, is if you are randomly, like, taking in my content, whatever kind of artist you are, and it's not really affecting you, but you're kind of letting it add to the noise of your life, please unsubscribe. In fact, I want you to go somewhere where it's going to motivate you to take whatever next step that is, whether it's shifting the way you feel about yourself in the world or what. I don't want to add to the noise. I want to actually change the narrative if I'm truly an artist. So that means get off my list or go to a different art fair. I'm trying to, like, make this for every artist to kind of connect to you, right?
Absolutely.
But if you want to have that impact, we're willing to let some people I don't say not like us, but let go of us needing to be the answer. Because you're not trying to market to all of the universe. You're not Coca-Cola. You do not need to spot. Let's all try not. Who wants to be Coca-Cola? Not me. Like, I want to find the people that want to hear what I have to say. Now, does that mean I want to shift minds and hearts in the work that I do? For sure, right? Absolutely. So does that mean my messaging is stretching and I'm trying to extend that audience? Yes. I don't think we ever want to end up in a vacuum where we're only saying the same things all the time. I want to be challenged as well. That's why the people I talk to, right? But I just want to be mindful of our desire to placate the people who are already not the ones who are meant to be for us anyway.
That's so good, because we can I mean, that starts in high school, where we've got all these great friends, but we want to be in that group over there, and we kind of neglect what we already have, or the audience that is for us. So it's so beautiful what you're saying. I'm going to change direction a little bit and talk about creating structure in our artistic days, in our creative life. Like, how do we go from this haphazard life to a bit of structure?
You tell me. Do you
have any structure in your day, or you just? I don't like structure, by the way.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you. I'm just going to pull back the curtain and share just, like, literally what keeps me on track, because I don't think I have here's the answer I give everybody, and so I just, like, here's a grab bag for everybody to pull from. First things first, I have people that are on my team that I have to work on things so that they can finish their job. So how does that translate for most people is, like, who's my accountability partner? If you have an agent, if you have another painter, if you have a gallerist who you're working with, if you have somebody that you're working with where it matters that you get it done outside of yourself. Everyone I meet with says, when someone else is relying on me, I always show up. When it's for me, I don't get it done. Hello, stop. Okay, great lesson. Great lesson. Stop trying to fix that. That is the way you are. That is the technology you have. So instead of fixing that, how do we bring something to align with that? How do I make my piece that I'm working on accountable to someone else? Is there a date which I'm going to say, hey, I'm going to have a reading on, July 24th. We're recording this on June 26th. So that means on July 24th, I'm inviting people to have a reading. They're going to have to hear my stuff that I read on that day. No matter what, I'm going to read it, right? So that's one trick, is, like, to really make true accountability. I have an accountability partner I meet with every other week, and she and I have one thing that we'll work on, and it'll be like the big thing we need to work on.
Yeah.
And we'll
the
talk
big
it through
thing
and
we
then,
avoid.
Yes. And then we'll talk it through all week long. We'll be texting, or we'll be leaving voice memos just to help us nudge ourselves along. The other thing that is a great trick that I rely on all the time is to use a timer. I'll say, Brian, you can do this for 15 minutes. Set a timer, close all the other tabs, just do this one thing.
That's good.
For 15 minutes and do nothing else. Usually I don't even need 15 minutes when I do this, which
Yeah.
is the real
Yeah.
gift about it. So I get to be a little bit
Mm.
exciting to see that, like, oh, maybe I won't even need 15 minutes. So
Yeah.
a timer is a big one that I use.
Mm.
And then another part of structure, and there's two tools that I use. One is I use Google Calendar like nobody's business. I will schedule time to get something done. I will
Yeah.
literally put, this is your time to brainstorm, and like, don't be in front of your desk during this time even. I will say,
Yeah.
this is your time to execute something. And I will often, I'm an extrovert, if anybody can't tell already. So I actually work really well when I'm with someone else. So I will say, hey, do you want to co-work? Do you want to get into Zoom together? And we'll just kind of co-work. And I'm not going to bug you, but I might ask you a question now and again and get your opinion. So, and I do have to make sure the people that I'm with like to co-work as well, but that's a good way to do that. And then the last thing that I'll say is I use a tool called Asana, which some of you may use or not use, but there's too many to-do lists in my head. So Asana is a free to-do list kind of thing where you can put due dates on it. And it has changed my life. And it is not just work. It's like, give the dog the heartworm medicine. It's make sure there's enough money so you can clear your rent this month. Like, make sure you put the money in the right, like that, all that stuff is in there for me to just get it out of my head. Because let's be really real. If you're an artist, your heart and your brain are those great gifts you have to tell stories. And it's taken up by this lame to-do list of like, when's my doctor's appointment? And So since technology is here for us, I say use it to support you in these ways. That's the best I can do for structure. The last thing I will say is I have to make myself put things down. So I love my business. Yeah. I love to work. And so I have to say, I put down the computer, walk away from the desk. Like I have a standing desk. So it's like, walk away from the desk. Right. Yes. And my day ends when I say my day ends. Right. So that is an important part of structure for me.
That is such good advice. Yeah.
I want to give one last thing. I think a lot of times why we have a hard time with structure is we have a second voice going on in our head that says, what I'm doing doesn't matter. Why should I bother? Someone's already done this. And so oftentimes we try to shut that voice out, and it's really uncomfortable. And more often than not, I will slow down and I will take a moment and go, okay, voice that's trying to tell me that I shouldn't do this and this is a waste of time. What is it you're worried about? And I'll just try to kind of, instead of shut that part of myself out and orphan it off, I will say, let me make myself available to what might be there for me. And so it might say, oh, I'm just worried about you wasting your time. And so then I can kind of get in conversation with that part of myself. This might sound like I'm talking about having multiple personality disorder here. That's not what I'm talking about, right? This is like really relate, right? And so then I'll say, oh, you're worried about me wasting my I literally will stop and turn to this part of myself and say, oh, you're worried about me wasting my time. I totally get that. And you know what? I'm worried about me wasting my time too. But that's not going to help me right now. So do you think you can come on board with me trying to do this? And so it just kind of shifts the safety that I have to get something done.
I really, really love that, because I think no matter who you are, you have that voice. I'm writing at the moment, and that voice will come along and go, everyone's already heard it. You're going to get dropped by your agent.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Why are you bothering? Someone's already done it. Yeah. You're not any good
rejection.
At this. Yeah.
And then it's choosing to do it, isn't it? Yes. Anyway. Yeah.
And the other thing is, like, I don't want to be a bully to myself. And that's a form of bullying myself. I had enough of that growing up in Ohio, right? As a queer kid, right? So I really think how do I relate to myself differently if I don't want to be a bully?
That's so lovely. I love the self-kindness, and that's what I can see in the sign behind you for the listeners. So how do we protect our energy as creatives and avoid burnout, which is so common amongst artists and creatives?
Well, you tell me. No, kidding. Here's a couple of things I'll say.
I know you know the answer.
Yeah. Here's a couple of things that I'll say is I think that we need to tap into our own technology around that. So for example, I am an extrovert. So I know that the way that I restore myself is to be with people. So instead of, I think what happens is as we get older and as we move and as we have different interests in our life, the definition of fun versus nurturing can change for us. And so what I often say to people, instead of thinking about what's fun, what is actually nurturing to you is a very different question. And sometimes it'll be like, oh, I really love to sit by myself and read at a coffee shop, and it feels like the biggest vacation of my life. Or going to bed at 9:00, or walking away from my computer at 6 p.m. And my partner really likes to cook. And so I'll be like, I'm going to go hang out with him in the kitchen, even though I'm mostly in the way. And just like, cause I know watching him and being there with him will be so nurturing to me. Right. Yeah. Or I'm going to go for a walk and call my mom. So I just really think the question is what nurtures me is different than what I want to do. right? It also is different than like self-care. So I define self-care as the habits and behaviors that keep us from overwhelm, hunger, depression,
Mm.
and anxiety and neuroses. So the reason why I
Yeah.
say habits and behaviors is self-care is not taking a break. Self-care
Mm.
is a daily habit. That's what I
Yeah.
believe self-care is. Taking a break is taking a break. That's I'm taking a week off, or I'm going to go on vacation. Not the same as self-care. Self-care is a daily experience of yourself. So,
Mm.
and self-care doesn't always look like, bubble baths. I think that self-care, and I think the reason why I say this is as we begin to consciously choose self-care, we change our relationship with ourselves. So I always use this analogy, this metaphor, because I think it's a great story. I don't know if it's an analogy or a metaphor. So here we go. This, whatever it is what it is. I have a dish by the front door where I walk in every day. And it is where I put my keys and my sunglasses. And it's like, great, that way you don't lose them. Whoa, 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 slow down. Why do you put them there so you don't lose them? So that when I'm walking out the door later, I'm not in a panic to find those things, so that I can get into my car and go where I'm going in a state of calmness and not freaking out, right? And so I think we do this and we don't even know sometimes how much how much we're taking care of ourselves. And by bringing
Yeah.
some consciousness to it, we suddenly find other places to do it,
That's
right? So
so,
that's
so
one of the
good.
ways I help with burnout, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah.
The other is there's something that a coach said to me once, and I use all the time, which is nothing I've ever put into the world later than I originally intended have I been disappointed about the outcome. So all the deadlines we create in our head, we're the only ones who know them.
Yeah.
Right. And so anytime I've decided I have this program that helps actors get agents, right?
Yeah.
I was going to put it out in 2019. It did not come out until 2020. I mean, it was a year later.
Yeah.
And in that year was when so much good stuff happened on it. And it's my most successful program. And it's helped all these actors find representation. And I'm really proud of it and all of that stuff. But I knew it wasn't ready. And I said, no one's waiting to have you drop this on the world. No one's watching you like you are. So sometimes I think burnout is the relationship with the fake deadlines we've made for ourselves.
That's really, really good. I love that. You were so articulate, by the way.
I'll try.
Such a gift to express wisdom. I love that. I like to say it how it is too. So on that point, is there a way that we can revolutionize our work days? And I say to feel good at 5 p.m., but honestly, you know that we don't always finish at 5 p.m.
Yeah.
But what do you want to say around that space?
It's a tough one for me because I think about it for myself. Do I have a way that I feel like this is my day complete? And I'll tell you where I'm challenged, just to, again, pull back the curtain, is I think most of us, when we end our day, are still aware of all the rest of the things we want to get done. And so the day ends, but it feels like can feel like a light failure because I know there's more. And my own relationship with this is evolving. So this come back to me in 2 weeks now, I have a different answer.
Yeah.
But what I can say right now is one of the ways that I help myself is I identify 3 things that if I get them done by the end of the day, I will be happy with myself. And so that releases the second piece. And I want to be really mindful. The 3 things are not, I'm going to write an entire thesis on XYZ. Yeah. It will literally be like, finish the email you started yesterday.
Yeah.
Call the dermatologist you've been meaning to call for the past 2 weeks. Set up your haircut appointment. Like, it will be 3 things, and they don't have to be the most precious things in the world. But just by giving me those, sometimes it will be like yesterday, for example, I had 2 really big things that had to get done. But I was like, okay, those are the 2. We're going to focus on those 2. We're just going to get those. We're going to focus on those 2. I was done by 2:00. Boom. Wonderful. Nice. Felt great. Right.
Yeah.
So I do think by giving us here's the daily goal, instead of the everything I need to do goal, is a lot fairer to ourselves. And I will also just say to you, those of you who use to-do lists, good for you. I cannot. It's why I use Asana, because instead of moving the to-do list to the next page or I can change the due date for something very easily and feel no guilt about it, and know that I'm still holding the space around. That's going to get done. It's not a priority for today. Right.
I love that. That. And now you should probably get a commission for everyone that's like Googling Asana.
It's free, so there's no commission to be gained.
Let's talk about the hustle mentality, because I mean, since moving to the US, I've never experienced hustle mentality like here. It's just so ingrained in the culture.
Yeah.
But so how can artists overcome the fear of getting sucked back into hustle mentality instead of focusing on more sustainable creative practices?
Yeah, this answer might sound similar to something earlier, so I want to just
Mm,
check in here. The hustle is not your job.
mm,
Someone out there will tell you the hustle is your job, and I will venture to say that person is not very happy,
yeah.
because your job is to do the thing you were called to do, which is
Mm,
the acting piece, which is the singing piece, which is the writing piece, which is the taking photos piece, whatever part of your artistry is, that's the thing, right?
yeah.
And so, um, be careful who you let influence you. So I think that we're all in the day in 2024. I think we're all very hip to who are our news sources. We get real clear
Mm,
about, like, am I hearing fake news over here? And like, who's the mouthpiece giving me this information? I
yeah.
think when it comes to creatives, if Joe Schmo McGee, who owns a gallery or is a photographer, says this is how you run your business, we're like, oh, Joe Schmo McGee knows what he's talking about. Like, that is one photographer who's telling you how he runs his business. And
Yeah.
yes, it works for him. It's not the only way to do it. So one of the things that I think around hustle mentality is put through your filters what actually feels good to you and works for you. This isn't to say that you're never going to be
Mm,
stretched, or you should never be uncomfortable, because I think if you're not a little bit uncomfortable, then you
mm,
are some form of, like, I wouldn't say lazy, but you're not pushing forward. Right? There should be some piece of uncomfortable. And the uncomfortable is not, I'm not working, nothing works. That's not, no.
mm,
The uncomfortable is, oh my gosh, I think I'm going to send an email inviting a bunch of people to see my gallery show. Or I think I'm going to invite people to go to this reading. It feels really uncomfortable for me to invite people to hear my reading, to see the words out loud. Okay, because that is the other side of that reading is a
mm.
you that has never existed before.
That's good.
That is the
Yeah.
kind of hustle I want to be in. Like,
Mm,
right now I'm imagining what my next program is going to be.
mm,
And so it's uncomfortable because I know that I want it to serve in a certain way. And I think I know the audience.
mm.
And so I have to step back and go, do not run to the answer here, Brian, because the answer is not, if you ran, you're going to get the wrong answer. It's not going to be aligned for you. So I have to
Yeah.
really think about, who do I want to serve? What questions do I need to ask? What does the program want? What's the outcome at the end of this program? Right. And
Mm,
so, when you have people around you who are hustling, good for them, good for
mm,
you. And I just always talk about how you want to walk through into that space with some consciousness. So you go, okay,
mm.
I'm a photographer, or I'm a writer, I'm an actor, whatever, and I am going to go over here into the business space for a second and work on some business stuff, knowing that I can relate to the business in a way that it's not my entire existence.
Yeah,
And then I'm going to
that's
come back
good.
over here and go to acting
Mm,
class, or go to my class,
yeah.
right? Go take some photos or go for a walk, right? So I
Mm,
think that the hustle mentality is where I come from, is value the art and value the artist
mm,
as equally or more so than an outcome. And I know that's
mm.
incredibly hard, especially
Yeah.
incredibly hard when you have success or when it's really, really slow. When they're in one of those peaks or valleys, it can be like, I need to run really fast because things are going well, or I don't even know what to do because things suck right now, right? I totally get that can be tough. And that's when I say, borrow some faith from the universe,
Yeah.
borrow some trust from the universe.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't have called you. And then also be open to what's there for you in the top and in the bottom. So when I was on the newsroom at the finale episode. I had a cute little scene, and I was on set, and it was Aaron Sorkin. And Aaron Sorkin's, for those who don't know, is a major writer, Tony Award winner, all these things, right? Emmy Award winner. And the newsroom was a big show on HBO. It was super exciting. I got this little job, and I'm on set, and we're all there. And we're having our meeting before we're going to shoot, and blah, blah, blah. And while I was there is when I had this, what you would think might be like a peak moment in my acting career, right? I had to cancel on 3 or 4 clients to be there that day, coaching clients. And while I was there, I was like, this is totally fun. And
Mm,
I wish I hadn't had to cancel on those clients. And it
mm.
became really clear to me, oh, wow, Brian, you like coaching better than you like being on the set right here.
Wow, what a discovery.
And it was not
Mm,
sad. It was shocking, maybe, right? And it was never a feeling of like, oh, I'm quitting acting. It felt like I graduated acting another way,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so the reason why I say, when we're in those peaks and valleys, don't turn off your perception of yourself. There could be
Mm,
something you might say, oh, I thought I loved writing comedy, and now I figured out it's actually sci-fi. That is, like, there's something in those moments sometimes for us. Also, sometimes it just means it's a slog and you got to keep going. So I just want to be really mindful, like, especially when it comes to writing, for example. So I
yeah.
just want to just like be aware of that, but don't turn off your instrument when things are hot or cold in your career. There's
Yeah.
things to be found for you.
So much wisdom in that. And I've been through a similar journey. It's like we're going for it, but often we're chasing validation or status or how we think we will reach success, but it's deep down in our subconscious, not even
Yeah.
what we want, but we
Yeah.
don't know
Yes.
that.
Yes. A Course in Miracles actually says,
Yeah.
oftentimes if we look at our own motivations, they are at cross purposes with each other. We'll go like,
Yeah.
oh, I think I want that, but if I got this, how could I have these two things at the same time? It's not possible. Like we
Mm,
really have to be careful around what we
yeah.
say we want, or
So
mindful, let's
good.
say. Yeah.
Yeah. But artists so many of us have tunnel vision, and it's like we don't think more laterally. So I really love what you're saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one's like, woof, we're going left here.
Okay.
What do you think about finances and supporting our creative pursuits better? Because we've got all of this stuff around, putting on creativity, the pressure that we shouldn't be versus
Mhm.
sustaining ourselves. What sort of wisdom, just one of your,
Yeah.
one tip of wisdom from
Yeah.
that?
My
Yeah.
stepmother said to me something that had stayed with me for a long time. This may not be true for everyone, especially in 2024. I want everyone to be mindful. When I turned 30, it was not 2024. I'm a little older now. When I was young, she said to me, when you turn about 30, you'll worry about money less. It will get a little bit sorted out for you. Now, I don't think that's true in 2024 anymore, but somehow the wisdom of that moment of there's a season in your life where money will be stressful and there will be seasons when it is not. That's
Yeah.
what stayed with me there, right? So that's one thing that I think is important for the people who are listening who are like, geez Louise, I'm stressing out about my car because my car broke down and I have to pay my rent. Like these are all real planetary things that are happening to us. We can't pretend that's not real. So I know that finances can be gutting for somebody. It feels like it takes the wind right out of you, right?
Yeah.
Right? So the first thing that I want to say is let us all acknowledge that it is normal to have another job and take the pressure off of your creative career. And by the way, whatever creative career you have, they all know, even the bigwigs at all the networks know that you probably have another job other than acting, writing, directing, taking photos, whatever, painting, whatever, because art is not a reliable source of income. And so I think that's an important piece to just never judge or hold ourselves back from being able to. It's really great to have a foundation of finances while you're pursuing your art. So when you find that gig that sustains you in a different way or fulfills you in a different way, do not think of it as you're cheating on your boyfriend, right? Like you're allowed to find fulfillment in those spaces. I think what can be difficult is actually sometimes it's hard to say, I want to have the same level of fulfillment with my survival, I put in quotes, or thrival job, whatever my job. And sometimes I think it's unfair to put that demand on it.
Yeah.
But I do think we want to understand that our art is our ministry to the world. And that ministry doesn't have to only be expressed through art. So I'm thinking of like my client who used to say, this might sound foreign to a lot of people. She loved setting tables or serving tables, like being a waitress, right?
Yeah.
She loved it. And she goes, I am there to give them an experience. And like, that might not be the perspective of her, but she found her way to love that. Right. And so I just encourage people to either find a way then or to have completely no feelings about their job, which is also okay, whatever their job, right? I think that's an okay way to do that. And then the other thing that I always think about is abundance that comes in not the form of money. So like I'm thinking about when I booked this commercial and I used to do a lot of commercials, and I booked this commercial. It was like shooting in Pittsburgh. My mom lives in Cleveland. My mom got to come stay with me while I was shooting this commercial. We got to have a little weekend in Pittsburgh. Obviously Pittsburgh is not Tahiti, but like it was totally fun to like have that, right? And another time I got to do a job where we like went to Europe to shoot the photos for it. I was, oh my God, I'm going on a trip to Europe for that. So we have to remember abundance doesn't always come as dollars and cents.
Yeah, true.
And I think it's important to acknowledge those moments. Even the awesomeness. Once I was shooting a commercial, I had to fly to Vancouver. And on my way there, I was like, wow, I have set up my life in a way where flying to Vancouver to shoot a commercial is possible for me. There's someone to get my mail or take care of the dog, or my flexible schedule gives me permission to go away from my life for 4 days. A sense of how you have made your life available to that kind of abundance is also, I think, really important when it comes to getting how you are calling in abundance for yourself.
So cool, because from that perspective, my life is so rich in abundance because of my experiences. And I love that, the way that you made that, separation between.
Yeah. If you're an accountant, you can't go shoot a commercial for 4 days in Vancouver, right?
No.
You set up your life to be able to, right? And so you have to be like, oh, I'm a part of manifesting what's happening for me. I'm meeting the
Mm.
universe. We have to not neglect those. I
Yeah.
moved across the country. I live in another country. Like
Yes.
I am participating
Yes.
what the universe wants for me. I'm
Here I am,
co-creating
an
with it.
Aussie in Atlanta, and I'm
Yes, there
like,
you
that
go.
is a rich experience.
There you go.
Like,
Yeah.
it really
Yes.
is.
Yeah.
Let's talk about personal brand as well. So I'm curious around this one because it's such a big thing. Do you think that artists, actors, whatever, dancers need to develop a personal brand, or is this really about business?
I think I'm going to talk about not actors for a second because actors
Mm,
are their product, so it's going to be
yeah.
that's a little stickier. So in the other word, I think that right now in the age that we're in, we want to get a narrative. We want to understand
Mm,
a narrative. And I don't know about you, when I go to the museum and like there's a little plaque next to the art and like I know some things about art, I know nothing about other kinds of art, and it gives me the background of the artist. I
yeah, that's
suddenly
nice.
understand what this art means and I get a big picture, blah,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. So I think we want a narrative, and there's a book called Story Brand. And
Mm,
it's a great, is it behind me?
I-
It's not behind me, but there's a book
yeah.
called Story Brand, and and it kind of helps understand what the narrative match is inside of that.
Mm, mm,
And I think, if you were going to hire someone to work for you, you want to go, well, what's their story? Do they going to like this job? Are they going to thrive in this job? Like you're trying to understand someone. And I think
yeah.
because we are wired for story, it connects to me around branding. It connects to me around what
Mm,
is this person putting into the world? What is their message? If you think about when we talk about like we want to see like indigenous people playing indigenous people, we want to see queer people playing queer people, is because
mm,
we want that story to be told by the person who understands it, right? And so
mm.
that's where that narrative I think also kind of comes in.
Yeah,
When it
that's
comes
good.
to actor branding, I think it can be a little trickier
Mm,
because what we were told 10 years ago is show me exactly what you look like when you're in a commercial, what exactly you look like when you're in a hospital, and exactly
mm,
like we were really show us the types. And having done all this research and helped actors get representation, what I keep finding is managers, agents, and casting directors don't want to be written out of the game here. They want to have their opinion. And so
mm.
I always say it's like if you were a waiter who was serving someone at their table, like, what are the specials tonight? You wouldn't just say meat. Meat. Okay, well, what kind of meat? Like, so you're giving them like a little more than just I'm a woman. Let's just say I'm a woman, right? You'd
Yeah.
be like, it'd be like you could think Anne Hathaway or think this person or think
Mm,
this kind of acting, just to give someone a taste of what if they order it off the menu, what it's going to taste like. So I think of a light
mm.
hand for actors is really helpful. I think when we get a
Yeah.
heavy hand, it's why I'm like, oh, so you're working really hard on branding more than you're working on acting.
That's
You're
so
work,
interesting.
yeah. And it
Yeah.
isn't to say go get great headshots and understand where your
Yeah.
essence is. And in acting class, should you understand what you bring to the table
Mm,
versus what someone else brings to the table? I think that's important to
mm.
understand. But that's specific to actors, I think.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
such a funny one because I once stood in front of a whole room and we had to share what we thought
Oh,
our
yeah.
essence was.
That can be
And
helpful. I think that
I
can be helpful,
know
though. Did
it
you hate it,
can.
though?
Because that day I chose to wear a
Oh, yeah.
leopard skin
Your clothes
onesie
influence everything. Yes, of course.
with this big red belt, and I had like bangs just for that day, because I wanted to.
Quirky. She's
I just went.
quirky. She's a
I know. So
secretary. She's like all those kind of
yeah,
things, right? Yes.
yeah. And I was like, this. I don't know if this is accurate for me.
Yes.
And then I
Yeah.
got my headshots over here that I was getting done, and the makeup artist and photographer's like, you've got a face for succession, but like my personality is so bubbly, and I'm like, okay, I don't know who I am anymore.
Yes, I totally get it. And I also think what's wild about this, of course, is
Mm,
you as the person are not the same as what you're necessarily able to do as an actress,
that's
right? And
true.
so that's can be
Yeah,
hard. And I do think that you need, as an actor, I think you do need to live up to the fantasy that people are writing about your face.
that's
So you have to be able to play
true.
like you have to at least be able to do the thing that I think about you, and then you can do all those
Yeah,
other crazy things and wild things,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
I think that's my next step is to channel my inner bitch, which doesn't sound very nice because I'm not,
got it,
but but
got it.
apparently I suit that.
I totally get that. Yes, you could totally do that. I get it. Yeah,
All right, let's talk about networking and how important it is, not just for actors, but for all artists, and not getting overwhelmed when we move into networking. And I think
yeah,
this is really important because I was with a client the other day and they said, I want to be on set once a month. And I'm like, well, as coaches, you go back, well, let's break that down. How
yeah,
are you going to get there? What are
yeah.
the steps? And I'm like, there's a lot of emails. There's a lot of networking need to be done in order to achieve that.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So how
Yeah.
do we do that? How do we not get overwhelmed as creatives?
Okay, so first of all, just because you opened up the door, I'm just going to tell everyone here, if you go to weirdnomore.com, I created a networking guide, and there's an
Oh,
action guide,
fun.
and it tells you
That's
what to
great.
say in an email. So weirdnomore.com. Is that right? Weird No More? Yeah, Weird No More. Because I think we all get weird when it comes to networking, and I have an
Yes.
entire course on this, right? And I think here's the thing. Here's why networking is so important. We need to quit wanting to compete. There's a part of us that gets into the hustle, that gets into the validation, that wants to compete against other artists and rise above. Stop it. Go to CrossFit class. Stop it. That is not what you're an artist for. It's a belief in this competition because there's a limited number or scarcity belief. And then you start to live from a scarcity belief around that, because what you want is someone who just goes, hey, I'd like to produce your show. I'd like to cast you on the show. I would like to have a show of your photos in my gallery. And what happens is those are the people who already know you. And what we tend to do is believe it's the next person I meet. It's the next person I meet. I need to meet more people. I need to meet another person, instead of invest in those people who already know you. And what does investing in the people who already know you look like? It looks like sending an email once a month or having coffee with all of them. Hopefully there's so many people you can't have coffee with all of them, right? Like investing in staying in touch with them, in kind of what you'll grab in that Weird No More is that I want you to make a database of some kind, but just to know that though that is money in the bank, and we tend to be looking for the next dollar instead of drawing on the interest of the money that's already in the bank.
That's good. You're really good with metaphors.
Thanks. So I think about this particular client. She's English.
Yeah.
She moved to the States. We got her an agent manager right away. And she's all these contacts in England, and she was in Cirque du Soleil for a while. And so I was like, well, you have a lot of contacts. We cannot forget about them because you're still willing to work in the UK. We need to have you send some kind of something once a month, once every 2 months, something. And so she randomly is like, I randomly got an audition. Like, this is not random. That person knew you from then. And they've been opening your email every month for the past, 6 months.
So good. Yeah.
The difficulty is we will say, I don't want to bother them. And again, this is where we start to write to the person who's going to say no. We're afraid to send an email to someone who says no. Let them unsubscribe. Like, great. So she sends like a group email is what I'm saying. It's not like a newsletter. I'm not an advocate for like pretty newsletters. I can be an advocate for like nice emails that you send.
Yeah.
But what we want is the people who stay on that list are the people who are fans, who are still connected to what you're doing, right? And so I always say I want an actor to become offer only. I don't want to get – great, we can get you more auditions for sure. I have a whole program devoted to getting more auditions. We'll definitely do that. But what I really want is for you to be offer only. I want people to call you up and say, do you want to do my film? Do you want to be on my TV show? The way to do that isn't – no stranger is going to give you an offer. Not yet, not until you're famous. So it's going to be someone who knows you already. And so we're so quick to say, yeah, but my friend cast me, or it's my friend's web series, or it's my friend's independent film. Girl, your friend's independent film will be a film that goes to Cannes one day or goes to Tribeca or goes Sunday. Like that is what you want. So we need to operate that frequency now instead of waiting till it's a fancy one. When it's fancy, then I'll care that they're my friend. Right. So I think it's the antithesis to hustle culture is believing that you're all coming up together in some ways. And then this way, when you do get that fancier booking or that fancier job, you're staying in touch with that person because the next time something's right for you or they want to work with you, they'll think of you. Yeah. I think we ridiculously assume that someone has met me. If you've met me once, when it's time for us to work together again, you'll think of me. No, sorry. Are you kidding? I know so many people, don't you? Like, what world are you living in? Like that's just not fair. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so good. And I just got that picture of like all your eggs in one basket, but that's great. That's your community. That's your connections. And occasionally you add another egg in.
Oh yeah.
But it's not the other way around.
Yeah. You should always be adding another egg in. You're always adding more eggs into it, but it shouldn't be that my focus is only on new eggs. I got to keep these ones warm because who knows when they're going to have a project for me, when they're going to hatch.
That's so good. There we go.
There we go. Good job. We did it together. The name of this podcast is Hatch Your Basket.
So funny because my maiden name is Hatch as well. So it's like, I'm glad that I got married and it's Pilcher now. But anyway, I didn't like that name. How can we use our social media effectively without, losing our authenticity and also just feeling queasy about what we're posting?
I will tell you, I am probably the enemy when it comes to social media. Here's why. Because I think there are people who are much more expert at than me. First of all, I want to just shout them out. Good, Heidi Dean is really good at this, right? I think that Sam Valentine's good at this. So I believe that your Instagram, at least, if that's I think that's when most people are on at this point, right? Yeah. At least if I go look for you, I should be able to think of it as a business card or a mini website.
I like that.
Because what we hear about is so many people be like, well, let me look at their Instagram just to get a sense of them beyond whatever way they've already met you. So I think it's important that is curated enough that if I go there, I understand who you are. And also I'm not seeing something maybe that I shouldn't, unless you have a private account, whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm not the person to ask about how to get opportunities through social media, but I do want to make one distinction. There's a difference between an influencer and someone who just needs to be on social media so that you know that I exist. Yeah. And I think it's important that you decide what that calling is going to be,
good.
Right?
Yeah.
And if you're going to be someone who uses social media to try to get opportunities, then I think then you need to be like, okay, great. I need to hire someone or I need to learn something about that. Do not make it the number one road you drive on. Because the number one road you drive on, unless you are an influencer, it's not the number one road you drive on. It's got to be like LinkedIn or Actors Access or some kind of profile. Yeah. Like there's if you're a voiceover artist, like there's other sites that we use that is where opportunities happen. So don't neglect where things are actually happening to get excited about some other to get excited about social media. Like use it, but don't make it your number one.
I really love that because there's somebody that started a business a year ago, got 6 figures in the first year and didn't use social media. They actually went out and talked to people and had real conversations and went to events and offered their services and like, boom, it's like 6 figures so quickly and not really posting on social. Yeah. So I think there's that lie that we all need to be actors and influencers or artists and influencers. It's just too much. It's overwhelming. Yeah. But it still needs to be like, a little mini web page.
Exist. You need to exist. You need to exist. Because if you're not there, then because what happens is I think we lose the belief that maybe you really are who you are, or that you have authority. We can start to be like, why are they not there? Right. I think also we can be incredibly big. There's a little bit of ageism around social media.
Yeah, that's
so a little
true.
bit like the older you are, the more okay we are with you maybe not being there. Yeah. So I just think there's just keep that in mind for the younger people who are listening, right? Like we're kind of like, well, how can they not be on there or something? Right.
So tell me what you think about my opinion. I get a little like, I see actors or whatever starting a page purely for their acting reels.
Barf.
I know, barf, right? That's all good. We're on the same page. I'm like, no, because I think people want to see these days the whole person, the authentic person. They don't want to just see your art. They want to see who you are and your art.
Well, yes, I'd say if you're a painter, then I could see that being different for you because it might even be a space of commerce
or a photographer
for you. Yeah. It could be a space of commerce for you, right? But when it comes to an artist who is their instrument, if I'm going to your Instagram, I want to see something more than just your acting, probably.
Yeah, or your dance. Like, I want to see you dance, but I want to see you smiling with your best friend or
your dog or whatever. Yeah,
I want to see a full frame because I only saw headshots before. Whatever it is, like just cool stuff like that. Yeah. I really love that. What would you say to people that are new to creative entrepreneurship because they're an artist, but they're also like, but I want to be an entrepreneur as well, and monetization and all of that. What advice do you have around that area?
I will just use myself as an example for this. I think this has to do with capitalism and toxic masculinity and maybe being from the Midwest. I'm going to blame it on those 3 things, right?
That's fine with me.
The Midwest is like hard work ethic. You have to work for everything you get. So is capitalism. And also like, don't ask for help, right? There's the age old story. Like when a man is driving a car and he's lost, he's like, I'm not asking for help. And the wife is like, stop and ask them, whatever, right? So that's where I'm grabbing onto right now, which is horribly sexist stories, but that's what I'm grabbing onto because I worked in advertising out of college and I knew a little bit about marketing and I was hot to try. And it took me probably a decade before I said, maybe I should work with a coach to help my business. And in the first year, I 1,000 my income. Wow. In the first year. Now, did everything I already knew, did it tee me up to do that? For sure. 100%, 1,000%, let's say. Right. But I think it's unfair for someone who's interested in business entrepreneurship to imagine that you have all the answers. I have a very good friend who has a business. I'm not going to reveal anything. And they have dibbled and dabbed in getting support on what it looks like to create an online business. And what I witness is this belief that they can figure it out more than a belief in someone else might have something for me. And it has continually held them back from really embracing their business. So I just think don't try to be an expert on something that's new to you. And of course, find your right match. And, I'm sure you have coaches you recommend. You probably are a coach who can help you. Like that's right. So I just really believe in ask for help. Ask for help. Right. And like also whatever intuition you have, the spiritual side of me wants to say, whatever intuition you have is probably one you should follow. So don't wait a year on this. So if you're listening to this podcast right now and some part of you is like, well, I don't know, you're listening for a reason. Like, go out there and take the next step, take the next baby step towards going on a free consultation with a new coach and seeing if they're a good match with you. So I'm just an advocate for don't expect to have all the answers yourself.
Yeah, and I heard you say on one of your podcast episodes that you have a lot of ideas. I do too. It's that creative mind. I have so many ideas for revenue and income and different creative ideas. And sometimes it's like, I don't know which one to follow. What's your advice?
Oh, great. Yes, so good. So first of all, this is such a good one. All right. Because I have that issue very much so. And what I will often do is, so I do something that maybe everyone doesn't do, is I have a year planned out. I know when I'm doing this in my business and I know I'm doing that in my business. And so I, from a very self-care perspective, will go, what's going to be the right energy that I want in July and August to be like, that I want to say yes to? And then I can choose the thing. So like, for example, right now I'm working on something that's called, Should I Leave My Agent? And I know it's going to be so helpful for so many people.
That's so good.
And it's like, and I get this question all the time. And like,
I've heard that a lot. And I normally say no.
Yes. I'm doing all this research on it. And I have a little bit of a radical approach around it. And so I have to really figure out how I'm going to put this into the world. Right.
That's good. Yeah.
And I'm going on vacation in August, and I'm going away with my partner to Cape Cod. And like, I want to be, so like, how am I bringing in this idea so that I can do it in a way where I'm not overwhelmed by it, right? So I think that the answer I have here is, instead of deciding this is the best one because fill in the blank, energetically, you might have an answer by following your energy. Like,
that's
your energy,
really good.
I think it's a wild way to think about it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, if you're working with a business coach, they will say, actually, no, you need to build a list for your email right now.
Yes.
That is the focus you need to work on. I love that you want to make a program. Nice try. Like, this is where an expert can kind of help, like, say, okay, no, it's got to be, heads down, get this done first. So I think there is a priority outside of ourselves sometimes, if there's an expert involved, can help.
Yeah. That's really, really good.
Yeah.
I think we're heading to our last few questions here, but I want to know what heartbreaking mistake that you see a lot of creative entrepreneurs make, and it makes them want to throw in the towel at the start.
Let's see if I can tell the story well. I think what I see happen is, in particular, remember that I work with actors, so I think this relates to any creative, but an actor will put themselves out there in some way. They'll reach out to managers, or they'll send out some messaging about a show that they're in and invite people, and they won't get any response, or they'll hear radio silence or very little response or disappointing response. And it will send some kind of electroshock message that they're not making it, that the business doesn't want them, that they're not talented. And it will set them back. They will say, like, I need 9 months to recover from this, or I need a year to recover from this.
Yeah.
And as I say this, it might sound like, well, that's a long time, but I want you to really think about your experience of when you've done that. Anyone who's listening, like, it can be heartbreaking. You've worked so hard to get people to show up to a show, or you've reached out to a bunch of people and no one has written you back. It can really be like, oh, what? And it took you a long time to probably write those emails.
Yes. Yeah.
And the reason why this is heartbreaking to me is, the mistake wasn't reaching out. The mistake wasn't doing the show. The mistake wasn't believing in your readiness. It was the system that you used to do it. And because you made that, like, I'm going to email this many people, or I'm going to do it like this, because you decided on how to do this based on cherry-picked information you got from other actors in your acting class, or other photographers you've looked at online, or some random PDF you downloaded from some opt-in somewhere of, like, this is how you're supposed to do this. And you never took the moment to say, oh, maybe I need to invest in understanding how to do this, whether this is money, time, energy, other than what I think other people are doing or what I have observed doing. There is a system that people use to do this, right? There is a way to make this work. And so where we can take the bruise or the wound onto ourselves, I go, go back. What did you do to reach out to managers? Well, that was a dumb idea. Let's try it differently. This is not how we do it. Not dumb, but like, that was okay. You reached out to 8. Nah, that's not how we're going to do this. Let me show you how we're going to do this differently. And let's talk about your messaging and because the truth is, nothing about you changed when we do the reach out again. We just did the reach out differently. And again, this comes full circle to what we started with. You have given gifts to be an artist. Don't expect, this isn't to say like, this means your IQ around business is bad, but it just means there's probably a space where you need some leadership, some help. And that's the space to ask for help. When you are knowing that you are going public, is what I like to call it. When you're going public with something, whether that's an ask for a manager or agent, or come to my show, or I need help with this, that is where a coach is so helpful, or a system is so helpful, because you can easily make it about you did something wrong, or you didn't do it right, that you're not worthy enough. It's so easy to write stories there, when in fact it's about, how did your messaging look? How did you reach out? What software did you use to do it? What dates did you send it out? Like, that's stuff that, get someone else to help you. So that's
good.
And so the heartbreaking that I have there is, I'll have an actor who's talked to me. Yeah, I really tried in LA, but I couldn't make it. It didn't work for me. And then they'll tell me what they did, and I'll listen. I'll go, oh, you never had help. And so you've decided that you can't be an actor, even though the ways you tried were all very not great ways. Everything you tried was not good. And I'm so sorry there's not, and that's where it breaks my heart, because there's not more information in the world of telling people how to do it really, really well. Yeah. And I promise it's not in a random download you grabbed online, or like there's a full system to most of these things. And I know that I'm saying like invest time, money, and energy. And that's, of course, I'm talking about coaching, and I'm a coach, but I just say this because I've learned the lesson myself and seen it so many times.
That's so true. Yeah, that's true. There is a system for everything. I love that. All right. Any other sort of things that you want to add in, particularly around success stories of artists that have gone through coaching with you and learned about strategically planning their life a little better? I would love to hear anything around that.
I'm thinking about my client, who has been my client for many, many, many years, probably over a decade. And she was working regionally in theater, and she wanted to elevate to having great agents, because she was getting jobs. She had enough of a name around casting directors that she would get work and get auditions and blah, blah, blah. She's like, I'm ready to do TV. I want to get an agent who can really elevate my career. And she started to make a couple little inroads, just very little things, couple credits getting added. And we did this by starting to obviously look at her messaging that was going out to the world, looking at her headshots, looking at the story, making sure we weren't neglecting the great success she'd already had as a theater actor. Sometimes I think we can say, well, they're not going to care about that, so I can only talk about TV. So now I look like I have 0 credits. Like we kind of like parse ourselves into what we think they want. Yeah, I know what they want, because they're not human beings. They're a monolith. The industry is a monolith, and right. And so what we do is we actually take away the dignity of the other people in the business to be able to choose us. Yeah. And so I think it's important that we, again, craft that narrative. And so I worked with her on how do we craft a narrative through our messaging, with our headshots, our package we're putting together. And then she up and moved to like Montana. And I was like, oh my God, what are we going to do now? And she has thrived. She's on Chicago Fire right now in a recurring role. She's playing Oliver Platt's mistress. And she has a manager and agent in Montana, and she's working in Chicago, and her career has just thrived. And what happened is we didn't neglect the story of her success in New York to make, I'm now a Montana actress. Like we just continued to share the story in a way that was palatable, understandable, and not overwhelming to people out there, the managers and agents or casting directors who are meeting her anew. And this might sound a little like woo-woo, but what we want to do is capture your story in a way that's digestible. And what I mean by that is I like to pretend anyone who's reading any email from me is standing in line at Starbucks and their child is screaming in their hand. So like it's going to be engaging. It's going to be clear. I'm going to help them read through it quickly. And then I also think of all of my emails as like the way we think of like a menu. So if you ever notice you're at a restaurant and the menu, helpful menus tell you more about the ingredients that they use, right? It's like this kind of an apple and this. So you're like, oh, I can get an idea of the taste. So I want to write emails that help people understand what's on the other side of it. And so that is kind of where I think I've found some magic, is in being able to put essence into an email, into messaging. And that just, to me, is a gift that is hard to capture. Like your art is meant to be where you tell your story, right? So as we kind of get someone else to kind of add perspective to that, whether that's me or somebody else, I think someone needs to have someone else go, that's actually really boring. I stopped reading your email after sentence number 2. So that's the kind of success that I want, is that kind of long-term success for somebody, that's over the years success for somebody.
Yeah, and that's realistic. I really love that. So thank you for sharing that. Where can listeners find your offerings online and any of your offerings you want to talk about and share about?
First of all, I think since we talked about networking, that Weird No More one is a free training. It's an audio training and a download. So I highly recommend you all grab that one. But if you want to look at everything else I've got going on, Instagram is Brian Says That, Brian Says That. And my podcast is Brian Breaks Character, and that's everywhere you listen to podcasts. So I would love to meet any one of your listeners for sure. I can tell they're in really wonderful hands with you. And so they'd be really conscious artists. So I would love to be connected.
Thank you. It's been such a pleasure talking to you. Thank you so much. You really flow. You're so articulate and you really flow in wisdom. And there's a lot of things that you've said that I haven't heard anyone else say. So I just want to validate that there is so much. And listeners, do check him out and get some coaching.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it, Laura.
Phew, today's masterclass is done. I love reaching back and saying, I've done this, and helping you learn the easy way. If you want more, head to laurabiancapilcher.com for show notes, links, freebies, my blog, coaching and courses, and you can also head to my socials, Laura Bianca Pilcher on Instagram and Facebook. I'm also on Twitter and Pinterest. Thanks again for listening. Please leave a review on Apple Podcasts. That would mean the world to me. And of course, keep on living the healthy, wealthy, wise artist living towards your dream life. Bye, friends. P.S. Shout out to my hottie hubby, Andrew Pilcher, who does all the editing on this podcast.